Eddie Murphy had, I don't know how long, where everything he touched was gold.
Absolutely.
Then he had this period that felt like he was a different person. Did you feel that?
I mean, I felt like he was a much wealthier person. You know what I'm saying? And kind of had it, I guess, had an affinity for removing himself and like insulating himself, secluding himself from society. Sort of the way Michael Jackson did. But that's not, I think that's because how people respond when everybody see you on TV and movies. When you walk outside, the illusion of that taps into a part of the brain that causes people to act irrationally.
Well,
and I mean, I experienced
response. It's response.
Yeah,
right?
It causes people to act irrationally. So the natural human response to that is, I don't want to be bothered with this shit. I'm staying home. I'm going to find as many ways or many excuses I can stay home as possible. And if I need anything, people can bring it to me. Anybody want to see me can come here to see me. I'm not going out there. Those people are crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's why
I
when
can at least imagine it.
Absolutely. That's why when we see like the response of people like Michael Jackson, you know, Eddie Murphy, you know, even, you know what I'm saying, people like Dave Chappelle, you know what I'm saying? We at first think, man, why they acting so crazy and weird? No, y'all acting crazy and weird and making them not feel comfortable outside of their own home. So I think that I saw that. But Eddie's always been funny. Like if you just go look at Shrek.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That fucking donkey is hilarious. And whoever would think that you sit as an adult and laugh at an animated donkey. And Eddie Murphy can tap into no matter what age, no matter what race, you know what I'm saying? No matter what walk of life. And I think that's a talent that is now being recognized. And I think that now, you know, Hollywood or the industry of film and television is finally noticing that black people can make movies only for black people. Even if white people can't relate. Even if y'all don't understand everything about what's going on in this movie, it's okay.
That's right.
It's okay. It's all right because we don't understand a lot of the shit that go on in the white movies. I don't understand what the fuck Rambo was out there for. I don't know what the fuck that shit was for. I don't understand. I don't know why that shit was supposed to be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Commando and shit like that. I don't know why the fuck that shit was blockbuster. Rocky. I don't know what's so fucking, you know, enthralling about a guy who got hit in the head so much where he can't talk straight, and his girl, it seemed like she's just as slow as he was. And, you know, they kind of kept it together. Even Forrest Gump. What the hell is a black person supposed to understand about Forrest Gump? Nothing, but we still watch it. So just like we can take, and a lot of times that is the beauty of it, to be able to sit back and observe others and learn about how they do it and why they do it that way. And whether you agree with it, disagree with it, whether you can relate or not, it's still art. Everyone's story is important.
Well, it's, you know, there's the prerogative of the majority that often limits them. Right? So I was in Russia. I lived in Russia one summer after college. Or actually, after my...
What year was this?
Sophomore year of college. 1995. Summer of 1995.
So this is post-Soviet.
Exactly. It was 4 years after Glasnost.
Okay.
And kind of in the middle of, you know, rebuild, perestroika.
Okay.
But I was in Siberia. And one time I was on a bus and I was with a guy who was
in a city.
In a city. It's called Krasnoyarsk.
Okay, Krasnoyarsk. What I'm saying, so, but this is not like a rural, more like in the wilderness.
It was in the middle of Siberia,
but
it was 1 million people in 10 square miles. Very dense. It was because it was a socially planned city.
A high density area.
Right, where they say, this is how we're going to build the city. This is where you're going to live.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty directive.
Yeah, and that's a communist.
That was a communist influence. I mean, the architecture was terrible. The infrastructure was awful.
Why were you there?
I was there. You know, I was in college. I was doing a humanitarian mission.
Okay, gotcha.
I was working with mostly. It was an orphanage in Siberia. And so I'm on this bus with a guy who is my translator, and we're having a conversation. And this woman turns to him in Russian and says, "What language are you speaking?" He says, "We're speaking English." She says, "Are you students of the university?" He said, "I'm a student of the university, but this guy's an American." She goes, "He's not an American. Americans don't come to Russia." He goes, No, he's really an American. He says, wouldn't you like to learn English? And she says, why would I want to learn English? Everyone speaks Russian.
In Russia.
In Russia. In the middle of Russia.
Right.
You get the same. What was so profound to me is listen to this woman speak, and it sounds like the answer I might hear in Iowa. Wouldn't you like to learn French? Wouldn't you like to learn German? Wouldn't you like to learn Russian? Why would I do that? Everybody speaks English. Now, it's a little bit more true of English at this moment in time in history, because English is the international language. But it was so eye-opening to listen to a Russian.
That makes sense.
Say, I don't know why everybody speaks Russian. And so what you're talking about is the prerogative of the majority oftentimes leads to ignorance.
This is true.
Because life, as you know it, is shared by the majority of people that you encounter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you're growing up as a minority in any country, then life as you know it might be different than the general culture.
This is true.
And so you're forced into a position of seeking wisdom, just like when we as Americans, one of the things that's so great about studying abroad is you go into a different culture and you say, why do they eat with their fork in their left hand? Why do they drive on the other side of the road? And then you go through this whole list and then you say, why do we do anything we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now it starts to open your mind and expand your soul. And so that otherness forces you to reflect.
Right.
So if you're a minority, you're forced into reflection. Whereas if you're part of the majority, you're definitely not forced.